It's been a year of news roundups and hot headlines.
Hot headline.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's legal in the intro. But what have been the truly standout stories of the past year? Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm here with Nevada Current editor April Corbin Girnus and my co-host Dayvid Figler, and we're going to revisit the biggest headlines of 2025. It's Tuesday, December 16th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Okay, April, Dayvid, if you were going to throw all of the year's headlines into a blender, blend it up, take a sip of that smoothie, what's the overall flavor we're getting?
Oh, I'm so glad it's over. Is that a headline?
Yes.
It smells of hype, but it tastes of emptiness.
Solid.
Mine tastes like grape-flavored antibiotics from childhood, unfortunately. I need to take it,
Ew.
But yeah, it's disgusting, and it might put me off grape flavor for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
But
But
it's
you
the
need
medicine that's got to go down.
Life-saving and horrific. So it's not been a great year. It's been a grape-flavored antibiotics year. I hope someone's listening loves that flavor, I'm sure. So to get through these headlines, I've broken them down into some categories. So to start us off, I'm wondering, who was your 2025 supervillain in the news?
Ooh.
Well, probably for the, 10th year in a row, Elon Musk should be
Yeah.
the
Boy, that guy.
supervillain of Las Vegas. And I say that since we're talking about big news stories about the fortune. Well, first off, it builds off an excellent reporting from our host, Dayvid, and
Yep.
Daniel Rothberg. But more recently, Fortune magazine had that story about the Boring Company being fined $400,000 for workplace violations that went away. Of course, the governor's office and the Nevada Department of Business deny that, and you can sort of read that if you look up the story. But regardless of what, whose side of the story you believe, the headlines about sort of toxic sludge and permanently disfiguring firefighters, not a good look for our Elon Musk.
No, and we did get that party started back in January. We did some follow-up reporting in October, but we're not the only ones. Like you said, Fortune magazine is uncovering lots of different things. Even Channel 8, TV News 8, got into the mix.
Is he your villain too, Dayvid Figler?
No, he's not. And villain is a strong word.
No,
so
not even villain,
be...
super villain. You
know what? I'm gonna super villain the super veto guy, Joe Lombardo, our governor. When that headline came out, and the one I'm thinking of came out of the Nevada Current itself.
Hey,
they called him the veto governor. Paid leave, IVF bills fall as Lombardo crushes his own record.
Yeah.
And a lot
and more
of
than
the
any
bills,
other governor, too, right?
No, absolutely. Single session, combined, et cetera. And just showing that, he's not playing nice. And most of the legislation that was vetoed would have really alleviated some of the housing issues down here in Southern Nevada and Las Vegas. So if we're looking for a Las Vegas supervillain, certainly our governor did not do his work that he needed to do to make sure that people who were most vulnerable in our community were lifted up. And then, he doubled down and did a special session that wasn't very special and which was just pure chaos and expensive to the taxpayer. So I don't want to call him a villain because he's obviously has in his heart, I'm sure, the best interests of our communities. But I don't like the way he's been executing them in 2025. And he is, I guess, then my super villain, super vetoer.
Love to see a little more collaboration between the executive branch and the legislative branch of our government to serve the people. But hey, my man is up for re-election in 2026. So Joe, you better get it together, right? People don't seem so happy. Okay, I do have a supervillain of 2025, and it's the funeral director that wasn't cremating bodies and just left them rolling around in
Allegedly.
The basement.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not alleged.
The piles got shown or whatever it was. There was bad news. I always going to say allegedly, you know me.
The lawyer.
Until somebody is doing hard time in Sing Sing, and even then,
I mean, the
alleged.
state board came in and
I'll give it to you, Sarah. You're on solid ground. I'm just never going to let go of my allegeds.
Booping around down there, most of whom families were shocked that their loved ones had not been cremated. So if anybody is a supervillain, it might be my dude, who then also took no accountability for it.
Ugh.
It was a creepy story. We talked about it on a bunch of our Friday News Roundups in a row.
Awful. McDermott's funeral home, reporting through the Las Vegas Review-Journal if you want to get back into that. Let's go from the frightening and depressing to the joyful, much like watching the Christmas time laser show at Sam's Town. So what are some of the most feel-good stories of Las Vegas this past year?
Well, I'll chime in with a story that started out pretty negative and probably ends pretty negative, but there was a little joy in the middle, a little feel good. Remember when they closed down the Broadacres swap meet because there were fear of how the ICE raids are actively destabilizing entire communities? Well, they were able to eventually bounce back, and they have been operating without any major incidents. And so I'm going to call it a feel good because there's not more feel bad coming out of that particular story, which it kind of sums up 2025 in a lot of ways. But
Dayvid, I actually had the same feeling, and then I didn't choose that as mine, but it's just like, I don't know. It was something about how
the community coming together, right?
Yeah.
And how meaningful that space was and how outspoken people were about it when it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no real resolution. People are still living in fear. You know, maybe what goes along with that is we've seen some really pretty amazing turnouts at the protests this year, specifically the ones that were like anti-ICE protests, because we are an immigrant city and our residents do not deserve to be treated this way, right?
Yeah, no, especially the ICE tactics, I think, are the most resonating part of those protests. It's like we're not against thoughtful immigration. We're not even against, people doing their job fairly and exhibiting the restraint that is necessary. But those tactics are just so ugly and so horrific and so anti-American. I get it. I get it.
All right, April, what do you think?
Yeah, mine, I was thinking sort of in the same vein as you, Dayvid, where something bad happened, but the community came together. And so I picked during the federal shutdown and, what proved to be an illegal pause of SNAP funding from the federal government, Las Vegans really came together. And I'm not talking about what the governor and the legislature did and sort of that side of it, but what people did. And Three Square Food Bank of Southern Nevada and their Northern Nevada equivalent, they both reported that they saw massive influxes of people volunteering and donating their own food. And then there were people, including, City Cast regular Kim Foster, who were doing things in their sort of immediate circles of collecting food and making food boxes and getting that together. And it really reminded people that when the government fails us, that we step in for each other and we have each other's backs. And that was really heartwarming to see in a time that was really scary and really serious. And so that's my feel-good story.
But also, we shouldn't have to, because what's the point of a government that doesn't take care of its people? Listen, I love our Las Vegas Aces. I mean, come on.
Winning is feeling good.
We are champions once again. Asia Wilson, Times Athlete of the Year. And I think I also just love Vegas's love for women's basketball. This city loves women's basketball like no other. We support the Aces. We love them as one of our first professional teams. And that love is never going to go away. I think we're one of the most dedicated sports cities to women's basketball. And it just fills me with a lot of joy.
Love it. A proper feel-good story.
A proper feel-good story. I found something.
Nothing says 'tis the season in Las Vegas like the Magical Forest at Opportunity Village. In its 33rd season, tickets are on sale now, and they include unlimited rides, mini golf, the Magical Forest Holiday Lights walking path, and trips on the Forest Express train. You'll see Santa there and have an opportunity to get gifts, goodies, and treats throughout the season at the holiday shop, with a beer garden open select nights for the 21 and over crowd. Tickets for the Magical Forest are on sale at www.magicalforest.com. As one of the primary fundraisers for Opportunity Village, attending the Magical Forest directly supports people with disabilities in Southern Nevada. The Magical Forest at Opportunity Village is open every evening from December 15th through the 24th, and then again the 26th through the 31st. Get more details and purchase tickets at www.magicalforest.com and stay updated by following the event's social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MagicalForestOV. Tell me if this is you. holidays are so far away, I don't have to worry about getting gifts. Oh my God, the holidays are right around the corner. Oh my God, I'm completely out of time. Well, if you want to skip the panic, do what I did this year, and that is get a hold of an Aura frame. You know, it is so hard to find a personal gift for the people you're closest to, but what better way than to share pictures that you know that they would love to see on a beautiful digital picture frame. It really is a beauty, and, you know, the photo quality is amazing, and every frame that you send as a gift comes packaged in a premium gift box. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames. They've been named #1 by Wirecutter. Just use the promo code CityCast at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CityCast. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and those frames do sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support this show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, well, like on that, what's some news that made Vegas look good this year?
Well,
yes.
If you know me at all, you know what I'm going to say. You know my answer for this is going to be that the Nevada State Legislature, for the third time, rejected a $1.8 billion subsidy for the film industry. It would have been the largest public subsidy in the state's history. And, building trades union aside, this deal was seen as really unpopular among voters. There was some internal polling that suggested that. And Nevadans, I think, are still reeling over the A's stadium and them getting money. So the rejection of that film studio sort of was applauded in a lot of circles. I have to say that's one of the biggest stories of the year. And I think that it made Nevada look good.
Yay. We did it. What do you think, Figler?
Mine's going to be like what it always is. There's going to be an asterisk, like a big-ass asterisk in there. My initial instinct on the story that made Las Vegas look good was that, you know, the Gaming Commission had the fortitude to levy the second highest fine ever against Resorts World as part of, you know, settling their money laundering violations. And that's a story that just keeps giving on all the machinations. But, and that's my asterisk.
That was the bookie, right?
Yes, that was the illegal sports bettors who were recruiting athletes to go bet, and it was happening right under the noses of the CEO, who was forced to resign the year before and who was, you know, indicted and pled guilty to some charges. So I think it makes Las Vegas look good that at least they are trying to keep it regulated and keep it fair and even and safe and stuff. But, you know, I think a lot of people think that there's a long time been too cozy a relationship between the regulators and the gaming industry. And so, you know, just to switch gears real quickly, this was the year that I think the Sphere finally came into its own. And, you know, as far as like drawing positive eyes and positive stories to like Las Vegas's place in the cultural conversation, doing new innovative stuff. I mean, look, the Sphere still has its problems. It's had great problems in the past. But I think that 2025 was really the year of the Sphere to the extent where they kind of got their shit together, had some really great programming, and people were excited internationally about the things they were doing, which, of course, looks good for Las Vegas.
Put us back on the map in a way. Yeah, I had difficulty with this one. From my personal opinion, it's the fact that Red Rock launched scorpion finding tours and they would sell out in like 15 minutes. Like, it's just, when I try to define Las Vegas to outsiders, I'm like, yes, the Strip, but also you cannot get a seat on one of these blacklight scorpion tours. Yeah, those tickets are being sold for, no, they're free tickets, but it's really funny to me.
There's the good side of blacklight, which is scorpions, and there's the bad side of blacklight, which is
hotel rooms.
Hotel rooms, yeah.
But mostly I feel like our national news just makes us look insane, which doesn't help with the defending Las Vegas. I had forgotten about this, but do you remember Spaceport? That we're going to have
I remember it. Yeah.
A spaceport built in Las Vegas. I guess that's still pending. It's just like,
everything's still pending, Sarah. The A Stadium is still pending. The bullet train from Victorville to Vegas is still pending.
The airport at Whiskey Pete's is still pending. Everything is pending. Can't wait for the spaceport. Looking forward to it in 2026. Okay, so speaking of things that make us look more than insane, news stories that make us look bad on a national level, what are you thinking, April?
Oh, mine's serious again. I apologize. No, it has to be the cyber attack against the state of Nevada that we found out about, be the public back in late August. But later we learned after the state released a report that the systems had been compromised back in May. One of the biggest cyber attacks of the scope and scale is sort of unheard of in terms of the entire state being taken down for several weeks, everything from the DMV to gun background checks to all sorts of things. It was pure chaos in the, public realm. If you talk to any IT person, they say it's pretty embarrassing and pretty damning what's happened with that. So really not a good look for a state that should pride itself on keeping things private.
Oh, yeah. A state of discretion. All right, Figler, what do you think?
I struggled with what makes us look bad as a city. And, there's been plenty of shenanigans by local law enforcement and others, but I don't know that
behind the curtain, recording conversations in Henderson.
Yeah, paying attention either to a lot of that stuff. I just have to go with the big one and just give me a little bit of runway here. And that is the Las Vegas tourism suffering, according to all the actual data and the reports. And that was bad enough, right? And so around April, we started hearing that our numbers are significantly down, 7, 8, 9% visitation down,
Huge,
gaming revenues from outsiders down, and that was really bad. And then, of course, a lot of the influencers and TikTokers jumped on the bandwagon and then started that Vegas is dead narrative that may or may not have been fully accurate. Yeah. And then the LVCVA were like, don't worry, we got this, and basically it was a lot more of the same, relying on a lot of the stuff that is a lot of pie in the sky, and they were just giving away a lot of public money to all sorts of weird things. $8 million to the Oakland A's or whoever they are now to wear a little baby patch on their uniforms that said Las Vegas. And then during all this happening, the hype masters over at the LVCVA are still telling everyone, no, everything is just so good and so great. Everything that we do is perfect. Every investment we make is a huge return. And here. Also give me, as the head of the LVCVA, almost $1 million a year, a giant salary increase with bonuses and all sort of stuff. And it's what world do they live in? And I get it. They're for the Strip to make mostly the Strip, maybe a little bit downtown. They're not the marketing entity for all of us in Las Vegas, the 2.5 million who live here. But I think that they are just so blind to the impact that what some of their actions have on our community that they can't just keep pushing hype in substitute of real data and statistics and thoughtfulness and innovation.
We're made of hype. To me, we do need some hype, right? It makes us look bad.
It's the folly of hype. It's the folly of hype.
If you Google Las Vegas right now, those are the news stories that come up. Las Vegas is dead. Tourism is down. Tourism is down everywhere, but we are a city built around tourism and a city with some scars of 2008 and 2020, right? If the economy turns on down, so does Las Vegas. However, when I was what are some stories that made us look bad? Because even the insane ones, I'm used to it. But I think my pick is the fake Justin Bieber. I don't know if it made us look bad. It made me really delighted, but I guess it was a little bit they don't even know who the real Justin Bieber is. But I'm here for it. I would rather go to fake Justin Bieber's concert than real Justin Bieber's concert, right?
I think that makes us look good. I'm going to be...
Do you think so? That we're still at the weird and wild place?
That it's weird and crazy. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. They're let me go.
Yeah, basically there was a DJ doing his thing, and then a guy came up and was hey, Justin Bieber's here. He wants to do some songs. And he's oh my God, bring him up. And Justin Bieber came up and he's singing and he's dancing and he's got his shit off.
I don't think the guy looked like him at all. I'm going to just say.
What did you say, David?
I was not convinced looking at the picture.
You weren't drunk enough, David.
Fair.
Yeah. And people are thirsty for celebrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they only realized when his set was done that it wasn't, and then they escorted him out. Have him play every night. Come on. That's great.
Those people left with the best Vegas story. It is going to go down in history. That's better marketing than anything that LVCVA has done. That's my hot take.
That's huge. I love that. Yeah, bring back the celebrity impersonators. Expand beyond Elvis. Like, get some Biebs in here, you know? Okay, so here's, I think, maybe my favorite topic. Like, we like to keep it hyper-local on CityCast Las Vegas. That is what we're here for. So what has been your favorite hyper-local Las Vegas Valley story of 2025?
For me, it was Michelle Fiore, the former city council person who was accused of getting in a fistfight with one of her other city council people who left, who became a judge in Pahrump, who was then indicted and convicted by a jury of misusing solicited funds for a nonprofit for her own benefit. She was set to go to prison, perhaps. And then in April of 2025, Donald Trump issued a pardon for her. So it was like it had never happened. So to me, that is like really hyper-local, especially the fact that like a lot of people crap on her for a lot of reasons and probably justifiably so. But I've heard from all my colleagues on the defense bar that she actually turned out to be an outstanding justice of the peace in Pahrump Justice Court.
All right.
And,
a redemption arc. I'm amazed.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be a lawyer for that job. So she was just kind of using common sense. And a lot of people thought she didn't have it. But apparently she did pretty well. And now she is fighting in 2025 to get that judgeship back because she's saying that pardon basically absolved her of all sin, and she should be able to not just adjudicate as a jurist, but get that sweet, sweet judgy money.
What do you think about that, Judge Figler?
I've never appeared in front of Michelle Fiore, but I have appeared in front of many judges in Pahrump Justice Court, and let's just say it probably wouldn't have been a very high bar for her to come across as being thoughtful in the way that some of the proceedings go. They're very prosecutorial oriented out there. I'm not going on a limb, and no one's going to push back on me on that statement. I think they're proud of that.
Hey, and shout out to the Pahrump Tigers while we're over the hump, you know?
Oh, yeah. Another good hyperlocal story, right?
The dozen
Remind
tigers.
me of that one. That was that was a crazy one.
What?
That was a crazy one. Yeah, you don't remember this?
I don't remember this.
Over the summer, it was like a dozen tigers were being kept, and they used to be licensed, and the license ran out, but the guy was also letting the tigers free roam. Pahrump, baby. And the neighbors were like calling 911, like, there are tigers, man. And so they finally went in and they rounded up all the tigers. They went to sanctuaries. The man got arrested because you can't have unlicensed tigers. Be warned, you cannot do that. You can't have a free-range tiger, even in Pahrump.
You
what
can't
is
have
this country coming to?
Concealed tiger without a permit.
Cannot.
Is that a tiger in your pants? You bet.
Let's just look at the story to make sure I summed it up.
Yeah.
That really tickled April. It must be the
How
cold
did
medicine.
I miss that? How did I missed?
Yeah,
I don't know where I was.
It was 7 tigers. It was 7 tigers, not I did say about a dozen. Okay, April, let's get hyperlocal. What do you think?
I'm still stuck on the tigers. Okay, no, all right.
It's in April if you want to look it up. Pahrump Tigers April. There's your Google search. You're gonna get it all.
I will. I'm going to look that up because that is insane. My favorite hyperlocal story actually comes out of Boulder City, and I wrote a story about this, and the headline was, and it sums up the entire story, is that Boulder City flushes plans for a 10-foot tall, 11-foot wide, 6-foot deep turds at Pink Box Donuts. And this was
I missed this one. The poop emoji donut? Is
the
that
poop emoji donuts and these giant figurines that Pink Box Donuts wanted to put outside of a location that they are building or have built at this point in Boulder City. And residents of the area were very upset about it and went to the planning
Boulder
commission.
City didn't go for that. I'm so shocked.
They said, we don't want giant poop emojis, and it led for some very funny public comment and a deeper conversation about what it means to preserve your town and whether or not that's the vibe people want out of Boulder City. But Pink Box Donuts, they get my favorite hyperlocal story of the year.
I love how on all these really kind of big and interesting or small and interesting stories from the last year, we pretty much have at least one, if not multiple podcast episodes devoted to breaking it all down.
Yep.
And I hope people who are listening to this, if they have a little extra time and are looking to load up for, their holiday travel, some downloads, if they're intrigued by any of these stories, that they go into the archive.
Yeah, look them up. We do not have a dedicated tiger podcast, but maybe we should.
No.
It's
got
not too
almost
late.
1,000 episodes under our belts, y'all.
We do. All right, Dayvid, April, thank you so much for this trip down memory lane, and I will see you next year.
See you next year.
See you in the news.
Bye. And that's all for today here in CityCast Las Vegas. Hey, if you enjoyed the show, send it to a friend. You can also rate our show and leave us a review wherever you get your pods. And don't forget to subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. You can also support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.